I promise. Softballs. Ready?
Yep.
I'm assuming that the words high expectation you've heard uttered around this office for the last 7 or so months since the end of last season and coming into this one. What does that mean to you? Does that mean that this team is number one, prepared to be even better than they were a year ago, or are you concerned at all that there's any additional pressure on the program in general?
Honestly, that means nothing to me, because I think as a coach, your expectations are always higher than anybody else's. So what other people expect out of you, I guess it's kind of nice, really, because when we got here, there were no expectations. So at least, to me, I guess if it means anything, it means that there's interest in the program, that people are expecting something out of it. But we've had, I go into every game figuring on winning. I think that's our job. That's our commitment to the players and a commitment to the university and to the students and the fans. So, I don't think you get any higher expectations than what we have in our staff and in our program.
Going into your 5th season now, if you can go back to the time when you were first hired with this program, is this where you expected?
Do I have to?
Yeah, you can if you like. Is this where you expected the program to be, though, at this point? You won a regular season championship at your 4th year, and now going into your 5th year, there's these expectations that we just mentioned?
I don't think I've ever been a person to set goals like by the 4th year you need to do this, and by the 5th. Again, I expected to win the 1st year, and we didn't. It didn't happen. I expected to go to the NCAA, every year, and it hasn't happened yet. So we haven't met my expectations for what I expect us to do. Again, it's just the way I personally approach things. It's not probably realistic, and it's probably, I'll probably never satisfy myself, but I think that's what motivates me every day to get up and say, we're not done here. We haven't done what we need to do. And, it's just, I guess how I work.
You've lost the last 2 years in the conference tournament championship game. Certainly impressive to get that far, but I know you want to get over the hump. With that said, you've developed quite a rivalry with UC Santa Barbara. How important is that for this league, Big West in general, to have those type of rivalries?
Well, I think what's important to the league is to get the rivalries good enough that 2 teams end up in the NCAA tournament, not 1. But I think it's helped with the interest. I think just if you look at the crowds of those games and the players that have been in the programs the last 2 or 3 years are obviously very familiar with each other. But a good rivalry goes back and forth, so hopefully it'll go our way this year, at least in the league tournament. But I think it's healthy, it certainly doesn't hurt. I think our league needs a lot of things to get itself to elevate to another level, and hopefully with the teams at the top half are battling it out. It certainly helps to have that vision and that combative relationship going on between programs.
Let's talk about some individual players. Casper Ware, Player of the Year in the conference, Defensive Player of the Year in the conference a year ago. A kid that obviously has transformed his game from the time he was a freshman to now going into his senior year. Talk about him in general, what you've seen, the progression of his game over the last 4 years.
Well, I always say this, but I think the best transformation of Casper Ware is Casper Ware the person. I just think he has grown into such a young man, from the shy freshman who painfully couldn't call a play out to start, to now being a captain and a leader and one of the premier point guards in America. I mean, you can sit here and describe him as a player, there's a lot of descriptions as a player, and I think everybody sees those, but what they don't see is that's going to stay with him forever, and what people don't see, with quote-unquote at-risk student athletes. Here's a kid that got in, to Long Beach State as a special admit, who, we're at GAR's a counselor seemed like every week hoping that he was going to make it here, to a student athlete who's going to graduate from here, who is ready to go out in the real world, whether he makes it in basketball or not, coupled with the fact that he's grown just as much as a basketball player, and he's gone from as you said, a young freshman who now can compete with anybody in the country at the point guard position.
I know that Larry Anderson was a first-team All-Conference player a year ago, but in many ways it seemed like he kind of flew under the radar a bit as far as the overall scape of the conference. This was a guy, however, that when he came back from injury, after missing a month with a broken bone in his hand, that really contributed to the overall team dynamic. He scores, he does things off the court. What have you seen from his game, and especially his leadership role?
Well, I think that injury just shows how valuable he was. I think we were 1-5 without him, and then we went 14-2 the next, or I guess it would be 17-3, 17-4 the rest of the way. So, he is extremely valuable to us because of his versatility, his leadership. He's been a captain now for 3 years. He was a captain as a sophomore. And he just does so many things. I don't know many kids in the country who are your starting three-man and your backup point guard, as he was last year for us. And he's again, like Casper, can end up in the top two in assists and steals in the history of the school. So he's just done a lot. And last year I think he was in the top 10 in the league in 5 or 6 statistical categories. So he, as you said, he's very, I don't think he's unsung in our eyes, but maybe from other people that don't know our team very well, he's very valuable.
T.J. Robinson's one of 6 players in the country to average a double-double over the last 2 years. Bit of an unassuming guy, soft-spoken guy, but when he gets out on the court, very ferocious on the boards.
Well, again, he's just got a, as you said, kind of a quiet game. What he does is very understated. He doesn't get the high-flying rebounds that you just that you remember, that everybody sees. Oh wow, there it was, or these acrobatic three-pointers or anything. He just kind of best thing TJ does is he knows his own game and doesn't try to do too much, and is very effective at what he does. And again, as you said, he is going to, on track, if he averages a double-double again, to not just be the best rebounder in the history of Long Beach State, but in the Big West Conference. And that's a lot of players and a lot of good players.
Who do you look at now as a mentor? I know you've been doing this for a long time. I know your father was a coach, but you've been doing this for long enough that you can kind of gauge who the coaches, are that really stand out to you, who you want to adapt your players to. Who is it you look at as far as a role model now?
Well, I still think my dad has, he's old and crusty and he's outdated and doesn't, it's a whole different game now, but he's probably the one that I still talk to the most about, if I have a, because after you've been doing it for, this is like my 25th, 26th year, it's not an X and O thing. It's a managerial deal more than anything. As far as, and he just has a good gauge of handling people and handling situations, because that becomes more of the job than, am I gonna run zone or man? You kind of are ingrained in what you believe in and how you're gonna dictate a game. But it's every team has different personalities, different players, different situations that you have to go through, and you kind of have to do that a lot on your own. And then Vic Couch has been with me for 10 years now, and you bounce a lot of those things off of him, because he has seen how I've handled other situations and can relate them to other ways that we have played, other players that we have that are similar to ones we have, that sort of thing.
Just you go through 7 months where you're away from the hardcore completely. You're doing your recruiting, you're out on the road, you're taking your vacation, and now you finally get to the point where all that excitement and is bubbled up, and you can finally let it out during practice, and the season starting here in just about 3 weeks. What does it feel like to you? What is that excitement level now that you get to the point where the season's starting?
Well, I did mention I've been doing it for 25 years, so I'm not going to lie. The off-season is good. I don't mind the off-season at all. But I think one of the things I like the best about my job is there are different seasons, where most people have, their job is the same year-round. What they do, in their office or whatever, they don't have that change. And it is fun to have a change of season. And I enjoy the off season. I even enjoy recruiting some now. I enjoy being away from the players, but I really enjoy the season too. And the day you don't get excited that the season has started is the day you shouldn't be doing it. And it is exciting every year to see what you can do with a new young group of people, and they make you stay young. They make you feel like you're still in college, even though you're a grown man getting old. You're out there every day with them. Took a charge the other day, and Casper's laughing and everything, and it's slower falling down every year. But it's fun to be young again, and it's fun to have a great group, to see how far we can go and what we can do to represent this great university.
7 new players to incorporate into the team. Obviously, some of them are going to redshirt, some aren't. Some are going to have to play some role with this team. With that said, how important is it to develop some role players that are really going to fit in right away and make a difference with this squad this year?
Well, I think it's huge, because obviously the 4 we've had have done a great job, and they've really brought this program a long ways, but they haven't gone as far as any of us would like, and so they need help. And the recruiting the last couple of years has been solid, but it hasn't brought them over the hump. And you're hoping that this year a couple of these new guys can step in and give us different dimensions that those 4 need to. And I say 4, I really mean 5, because I think Edis has earned his way into that group. Even though he was a junior college transfer, those 5 have really deserve to get over it and get to the NCAA tournament. I think we have some new guys that give us some ways to do that.
Competition in the league this year, it's going to be fierce. We talked about Santa Barbara, a lot of new players with Cal State, Fullerton, Irvine's going to be young, but there are some quality teams in this league this year. What are your expectations of the Big West?
Well, I don't think any league is easy. I don't care what league you're in. I think our guys learned that the hard way 2 years ago when they came off a tough preseason and started the league 1-4, thinking that well, now it's a Big West, and now our competition will be easier. It's always a grind in any league for any team to go through it, and I think this year will be no exception. I think Santa Barbara's obvious. I mean, they not just have the 3 starters back, but Samoji's back, who could be a starter at 7-3, and a couple transfers who have proven that they can play at this level. And I think they'll be better than they were last year. Fullerton, I expect them to contend for a league championship. And don't leave out Cal Poly. Cal Poly finished 2nd with Hansen back, and they got their point guard that was injured before the season started. So there's 4 teams right there. When's the last time Bob Thomason's team has not finished in the top half of the league? You can go on and on. So I think there's going to be 5 or 6 teams that have an opportunity to make it happen, and that's what makes it great, and that's what is fun about being part of a league.
Good.